Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Oilers. So, it's been a busy week, but before we get into any of that, as this will come out on the 24th, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you and your families and your pets, I already said families, but and your pets, have a wonderful Merry Christmas together. All right, so like I said, it's been a pretty active week. We saw the return of Roslovic yesterday, and it was a decent enough return for him. He, as I said in the game video recap video, it's his first game back after an extended injury. So, there was going to be rust, and there was definitely rust there, but he still managed to get involved 3 or 4 times and get high impact chances. And that's really what I'm looking for from top 6 players. And one of the reasons why I was so vocal about Savoy is game in and game out, I really didn't notice Savoy getting those opportunities. Like, okay, granted, he got a couple of goals and whatever, but he wasn't driving the play when he was in the top 6. Roslovic, he's rusty right now. He's got to get into game shape. But right off the bat, in the first minute of the game, he had a AAA scoring chance, and throughout the game he had 2 or 3 more. So he was getting those opportunities. He was making himself engaged. And that's what I want to see from our top 6. So getting Roslovic back, that is a Christmas present to me. Simple as that. Roslovic is quickly becoming one of my favorite Oilers. I won't lie about it. I didn't know what to expect from him when we picked him up, but he's quickly becoming one of my favorite Oilers because even when he's not scoring, he's involved, he's engaged, he's driving, and that's what you want from your top 6. So welcome back, Roslovic. You were missed. Unfortunately, the good news comes with bad news. We saw Tristan Jarry go down, and now we know he's going to be out for 2 weeks. So he won't be back until January. And Noah Phillip is skating, but it's a concussion. So I don't know if we're going to see him before the new year. I would prefer they take it slow with concussions because we've seen time and time again over the years where somebody gets a concussion and they work really hard to get back, but they rush it and they get back and they're not the same. And then usually within 2 to 5 games, they're re-aggravated the concussion. So I'd rather with Phillip, they just take their time, let him heal, and bring him back when he's ready, because Noah Phillip needs to be healthy. Because Noah Phillip, I've been really impressed with him this year, but the one thing he needs to do is get more physical. He's got to lift up his physicality level. So to do that, you don't want to be messing around with a concussion or lingering effects of concussion. So let him sit out, let him get healed up properly, fully, and then bring him back. Wallman, he's not going to be back until the new year. Kapanen, I really don't hear much about Kapanen. Like, I hear he's skating, I hear he might be back, but I don't know. If he's back, he's back. I don't know. The messaging on Kapanen is so sporadic across the board. One day you're hearing he's coming back. The next day you're hearing he's out for a week. Who the hell knows? And Kapanen will help this team. But again, he was supposed to be back already, and it just took a little tweak and he was out. So let's just make sure he's ready. Another player, I'm fine waiting till the new year. Just let him sit out and get healthy. Lazar is back and Regular are back, so that's a bonus. So we're starting to get healthy. By the new year, we should be healthy. And that's our Christmas gift to all of our Oiler fans is by the new year, this team should be healthy. But because of injuries, we just set a new record for the Oilers. First time in franchise history that we had 4 separate goalies win a game this month. So it's not a record you want to be breaking because to break it, you need the injuries. But hey, 4 goalies, 4 wins. The team is starting to play better. Most of the time, we get those few odd, really bad games. But most of the time, they seem to be playing better. So that's the upside of that. The 2 questions going on right now is what's going to happen with Tomasek and what's going to happen with Fredricks. And actually, there was a third question I just saw today. asking if Mangiapane is this year's Jeff Skinner. So let's address that one right off the bat. No, Andrew Mangiapane is not this year's Jeff Skinner. And the reason why I say that is because Knobloch refused to give Jeff Skinner a chance last year. Now, I'm not the biggest Jeff Skinner fan. Never have been. He's one of those one-dimensional players. And, well, you've heard me go on, Bouchard, and you've heard me over the year. I'm not a fan of one-dimensional players. I understand they can be useful in specific spots, but overall, give me a two-way player over a one-dimensional hotshot any day of the week. Like, I won't lie, I still consider Darnell Nurse to be heads and tails better than Evan Bouchard. And the reason is Darnell Nurse can play physical. He can play two-way hockey. He's got defensive skill and he's got offensive skill. He can kill penalties. And I still say Evan Bouchard should never see the ice on a penalty kill. I don't understand what the hell they're doing this year with that. So, to me, Darnell Nurse is a hockey player. Evan Bouchard is a one-dimensional offensive guy. And that's how I viewed Jeff Skinner, is he was offense. That was his game. That's always been his game. Offense, offense, offense. But Knobloch wouldn't even give him a chance to do that last year. You honestly cannot say Jeff Skinner was a failure in Edmonton, because we don't know what he was in Edmonton because Knobloch never gave him a chance. Never gave him an opportunity. So Mangiapane's gotten tons of chances. I would compare Mangiapane to Kyler Yamamoto rather than Jeff Skinner, because Kyler Yamamoto, or Matt Savoy for that matter, they've been given the world, or were given the world to succeed. Even when they were struggling, they were given the world. They were given every opportunity to rise above their station and succeed. Jeff Skinner was never given that on the Oilers. So you can't compare Mangiapane with Jeff Skinner. Like I just said, you can compare Mangiapane with Kyler Yamamoto, because both are significantly underperforming what they should have been performing at. So I don't, even though the topic's going on about Mangiapane and Skinner, I don't think it's a fair comparison. Because, again, Jeff Skinner he wasn't given a chance. This is like I was saying about Josh Brown. Josh Brown was an NHL defenseman. He was a tendered NHL defenseman. The Oilers went after him. They courted him. They drew him to the team, and they got him, and he signed, and Knobloch sent him to the minors. And Josh Brown has never been given a chance. If I'm Josh Brown, I can't wait to get out of Edmonton. And I'm an Oilers fan. But let's be realistic about this. You have a team that comes after you, they court you, they promise you the moon to get you to sign, and then they bury you in the minors without an opportunity. If that's me, I want out of that franchise as soon as freaking possible. Said the same thing for Troy Stecher. We saw Troy Stecher. He's an 8-9 defenseman on the Oilers. On the Leafs, he's their top pairing. So Troy Stecher's career as an NHL defenseman has probably just gotten a boost of 5 years, because he got out of Edmonton and he got to a team that needed what he had to offer. Even though the Leafs suck, he's still playing on an NHL team. He's still playing high in the lineup. This is going to extend for his career. So he's going to get another 4 or 5 years out of his career. Whereas if he stayed in Edmonton, he was going to Bakersfield. And I doubt he would ever got called up after that unless we got devastated with injuries. So yeah, anyway, that's what's going on with that. I don't agree with the Jeff Skinner and Andrew Mangiapane comparison. As I said, I think Mangiapane and Kyler Yamamoto are a much better comparison. Both are disappointing on the Oilers, and I hope Mangiapane can figure it out. Speaking of a disappointment, Trent Fredricks. I was so pumped when we signed Trent Fredricks. I really was. Now, I was not happy that we traded Evander Kane. I knew from day one we needed what Evander Kane brought. I understood that Evander is a marked man by the league, and that's probably why he got traded, is because the league, all Evander's got to do is look cross-eyed at somebody and the referees are giving him a penalty. So I understood it from that point, but we needed Evander's toughness and physicality and grit. And I was hoping Fredricks would replace that. But unfortunately, Fredricks has not even replaced half of it. Not even a quarter, if we're being honest. Fredricks gone down that rabbit hole that we've seen time and time again when players sign with Edmonton and they get around McDavid and Draisaitl. And I'm not blaming McDavid and Draisaitl. I'm just saying we've seen this with players once they get around McDavid and Draisaitl is they suddenly think they need to be the skilled guys. No, we have McDavid, we have Draisaitl, we have Roslovic, we have Hyman. Like, these are our skilled guys. We have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. These are our skilled guys. We need you to play the role that you were signed to play. And Fredricks was signed to be a gritty, physical, third line forward. And we haven't got that from him this year. That's just no ifs, ands, or buts. We have not got that from him. So he's sitting in the press box right now. I expect he'll play in the Calgary game. That game will happen before you see this video. That's on Tuesday, and this video comes out on Wednesday. I'm filming this as usual on Monday. But I expect to see Frederick in the Calgary game, but part of me kind of hopes we don't. He needed this time out. He needs to get his head on, and I'm praying to God they're talking to him and they're watching video and they're getting in his head. This is what we need from you. You are not Connor McDavid. You are not Leon Draisaitl. You are not Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You are not Jack Roslovic. We need physicality from you. We need grit. Now, I'm not saying fighting either. Physicality does not mean fighting, though that plays a role at times. Physicality is crashing and banging and energy and forecheck and net front presence. This is what we need from him. And this is what we've not gotten consistently from him. So hopefully Fredricks can get his head on straight and get in tune with what the team needs from him, because we just signed him to an 8-year contract, and that contract's looking pretty bad right about now. And you got to believe there's not a big demand for him out there. So my worst case scenario is we might end up burying him in the minors if he can't get his head on and deliver what he was signed to deliver. And that sucks, because like I said, I was pumped when we got a hold of him, and I understood he was injured last year, so I didn't have high expectations for him last year. But I thought after the year he'd get healthy and everything, and then he'd come back and he'd be bumping and grinding and just everything we need from Trent Fredricks. And that player has not materialized. So we need that player to materialize. So yeah, it's that's what's going on with the Oilers right now. It's kind of the team's in a little bit of a flux. Got so much injuries, they're starting to come back. It's, and then you got the distraction of the Olympics, and it's like, so we'll see what we do. On the upside is we're done with Eastern Conference road games. We've done them all. Our schedule's done. So now our road games are Western Conference and Central Conference. No more Eastern Conference. So the longest road trips are done. So that's a bonus for the team. And typically the Oilers do play better in the second half, though that drives me absolutely batty. It's like, you guys should be playing first half, second half. I don't care. Play your game, play it well, give us 60-minute efforts. And we haven't gotten that this season. So anyway, all right. So that's all what's going on with the Oilers and everything. And yeah, so now it's time for my favorite session. You know what it is. Say it with me. Making fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there's a lot to make fun of this week. So I think it's only fair with how poorly he's played that this making fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs is dedicated to Austin Purseboy Matthews. So right off the bat, we got the Ghost. You heard of the GOAT? Well, we got the Ghost. So the second one of this week is Austin Matthews comes with an epiphany. My aim isn't bad. The puck just panics when I shoot. And this picture, it tells a tale of two cities. You got Matthews and you got Marner in his Golden Knights jersey, and well, the look on their face just says it all, doesn't it? How their season's going. And for the fourth one of this week, because it's Christmas, the Toronto Maple Leafs have new uniforms. There you go. All right, and that is making fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs. It never gets old, people. It never gets old. I can do this all year, and I have. And I'm going to do it next year, too. Alrighty, so we had some games. So let's get to the games. Okay, Oilers versus Penguins, December 16, game 34. So this was the first game of Skinner versus Jarry. What I wrote is Skinner versus Jarry is upon us. Honestly, this wasn't a great game for either goalie. And you can't blame them. Like, I've never understood why teams do that, where they trade for a player and then they instantly put that player against their old team. I can only imagine the nerves, the stress, the anxiety. So, and I think it got the better of both goalies. All right, but the Oilers did win 6-4. However, shots on net were 23-31 for Pittsburgh. Leon hit 1,000 points and had 4 assists. McDavid had 2 goals and 2 assists, and they honestly dominated the Penguins. The story going into this game was Skinner and Jarry both ended under 900 save percentage, but honestly, both were solid. And like I said, I can't imagine the anxiety and nerves that were going through and playing their old teams. 3 stars for this game were Leon, 1,000 point milestone, and he got 4 assists this game. McDavid, 2 goals and 2 assists. And the 3rd star I gave to Curtis Lazar, just for being so tough. He got hit and he got folded and he couldn't even put weight on his leg. And he had to be helped off the ice. And he came back. He only came back for 1 shift, but he came back. It's like, this guy is got some real toughness to him. So I gave him the 3rd star. Just, when somebody shows you that sort of an intestinal fortitude, you got to reward it. The slugs for this game were lackadaisical defensive play in their own zone. In their own zone, this is how Pittsburgh got 31 shots, they were not strong in their own zone defensively. What I wrote is Oilers are still playing more shinny than actual hockey, but today that was enough. Oilers are now 16-12-6. All right, next game. Oilers versus the Boston Bruins, December 18, 2025, game 35. Pre-show, Lazar is out. Like I said, that's no big surprise. He got folded. He couldn't even put weight on his leg in the Pittsburgh game. This was the final Eastern road game for the season for the Edmonton Oilers until the Stanley Cup Finals, when we get to the finals, because we're going to get to the finals. Oilers win 3-1. Shots on net were 24-25 for the Bruins, so very equal. It was a good road game. Nothing fancy, but no horrendous defensive lapses either. The big news of the game are Jarry leaves injured, so it only took 2.5 games before he's injured, and now we know he's out for 2 more weeks. Pickard gives a solid 12 stop in relief, and Hudson got his first NHL goal. The 3 stars were McDavid, 1 goal, 1 assist, Hudson, 1 goal, and RNH, 1 goal, 1 assist. The slugs, there were no slugs, but it would be nice if the Oilers stopped allowing opponents to set the pace at the start of the game. They've been guilty of that all season. They don't come out and force teams to play to their level. They come out and play to their opponent's level and try to beat their opponent at their game. And that's why we keep losing to bad teams. As I said, good overall road win. Really not much else to say. Oilers are now 17-12-6. And yeah, so it was just a solid road game for the Oilers, and we got the win. Next game up was Oilers versus Minnesota, December 20, 2025, game 36. The pre-show was, so big news is Jarry is on the IR, Pickard gets a start, and Connor Ingram is called up to be the backup. Minnesota wins, Oilers loss, 5-2. Shots on goal were 30-37 for Minnesota. So right off the bat, I don't think we got more than 5 shots at the mid-level or higher on the net. And this has been an ongoing issue for a number of games now, where the Oilers are back in the mode where they don't want to raise the puck. And in the modern day NHL, the shots to the high, midpoint and higher, those are your high percentage areas. Lower is your low percentage areas because the goalie's trained to stop low shots. So the Oilers, for some godforsaken reason, are trying to force pucks in low. So I don't think this goalie stopped more than five or six shots above the midpoint, and that's just not acceptable. Calvin Pickard was actually really strong in this game, even though we lost. He allowed 4 goals, but like I said, he faced 37 shots, and it could have been much worse because unlike the Oilers, Minnesota was willing to raise the puck. Plus, we never fare well in matinee games. You can look over the history of the Oilers. We never do well in matinee games. I'd like to say this game was winnable, but it wasn't. If the team's not going to shoot to the high percentage locations. Oilers are now 17-13-6. As for the Stars, Leon, 2 assists, Mangiapane, 1 goal, and McDavid, 1 goal. The Slugs, not cleaning up rebounds and not shooting to the high percentage areas. And the final game of this week, Oilers versus Vegas, December 21, 2025, game 37. So lots of lineup changes for this game. First off, Roslovic is back. Sounds like he'll slide in back with the second line, and he did with Podkolzin and Leon. And Savoy moved down to the third line, much to Bob Stauffer's chagrin. Ingram is in net. This one worried me, as Ingram has not been good in the Bakersfield, but he was actually really good for this game. So that worked out in our favor, but it was surprising because he's not been good in Bakersfield this season. And Lazar and Regular returned to the lineup as well this game. And the Oilers win 4-3. They had a 4-0 lead, and then they collapsed in the third period, and they barely held on, is how this game went. Like, they dominated in the first 2 periods, and then they collapsed in the third. Shots on goal were 26-20 for Vegas. The Oilers only got 3 shots on net in the third period. Believe it or not, this is the first time this year the Oilers have won a back-to-back game. Usually they're a 500 team on back-to-backs. This year, they have lost every back-to-back game. This is the first one they've won. Other than the third period, though, the only real big concern was our third line. Our third line has not been good this year, and it wasn't good this game either. You know, our top 6 were very good, and our fourth line did exactly what you expect a fourth line to do. I think Rob Brown said it best after the game. He said, right now, the Oilers have a two top 6, or a top 6, 2 lines, and then they have 2 fourth lines. We don't have a third line. We need that third line, because the third line, as I've said before, a team, in my opinion anyway, should be offense, balance, shutdown. Well, we have the shutdown now, and we have the offense, but we're missing that balance line. They're not bringing any offense, and they're okay defensively doing the shutdown, but we don't need 2 shutdown lines. We need a third line with some secondary scoring. And we're not getting that from... Like, the only time Savoy gets a point is when he's playing with Leon on the second line. But Savoy is not knocking Roslovic off the second line. And he's certainly not knocking RNH off the first line as Bob Stauffer wants. So he's going to be on the third line, and he's got to figure out how to be productive on the third line. And we haven't been seeing that any time he's been on the third line this season. 3 stars of this game were McDavid, 1 goal and 2 assists. RNH, 2 goals and 1 assist. And I gave it to Connor Ingram because I had very low expectations for Connor Ingram in this game because he has been that bad in Bakersfield. But he played really strong, and he kept us in the third period when Vegas poured it on, and the Oilers they were not good in front of them. The Slugs, what I wrote is penalties, because we took a lot of penalties this game, and a terrible third period. And I gave a special mention to Leon and Hyman, who both had 2-point nights as well. But we got the win, and that's all that matters. The Oilers are now 18-13-6, and that was the final game of this week's period from Tuesday to Monday. And yeah, so overall it was a good week for the Oilers, but they're still got some sloppiness in their game that they need to clean up. And yeah, so anyway, you're all caught up for this week. That's my video. If you like the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. It takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. And if you're watching this on Rumble, please follow my channel. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Please come in and tell me, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think of the Mangiapane and Skinner comparison? Or do you agree with me that it's more like Mangiapane and Kyler Yamamoto? Also, leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.